So I was playing Mario Kart the other day, dominating the online lobbies as usual, and I kind of realized that there seemed to be a trend in who was winning. Now obviously the players that are winning over and over are obviously the more skilled players, but what I gravitated towards was the characters and kart combinations that they tended to use. Now it's not like there's only one kart/character combination that's the inherent best of the best, and you're forced to use that, otherwise you're bound to be fighting me for last place. But it definitely got me thinking and reminiscing about all the past Mario Kart games, and wondering if there was a quote, best character or kart combination for each of them. So because I have nothing better to do, I decided to make it into a video. Just to preface, I'm not in any way some kind of Mario Kart protege, nor do I know all the intrinsic coding behind the games, but I worked my way through each one, and this is who I found to be the best character in every single Mario Kart game. So starting us off is Super Mario Kart, the game that to this day still has some of the cutest sprites in my opinion. As this game marks the beginning of what has become a colossal franchise, it also means when it comes to character choices, there aren't as many as we'll see when we start moving towards the more recent games. Super Mario Kart features the smallest cast as you'd expect, with only 8 characters. These characters are grouped into sets of 2 that have identical stats. Interestingly, this game would pair these characters based on acceleration, top speed, weight, and handling, whereas future games would classify characters based on the now standard weight classes. I started with the man himself, Luigi, who is identical to Mario in terms of stats. The Mario Bros are essentially balanced across all metrics, and they feel more like tutorial characters to help ease beginners into the game. This also means that they fail to excel in any area, and are often overshadowed by a lot of the remaining cast because of this. Now you might think that Bowser or Donkey Kong Jr. would dominate, considering they have the highest top speed, and they also have decent weight and handling. And honestly, in terms of speedrunning or time trials without any distractions going on, I'd probably argue that they are the best once you get the hang of them. But in this video, I wanted to decide based on normal Grand Prix races, with items and other distractions going on. And with that in mind, maybe you'd consider Yoshi or Princess Peach the best, due to their incredibly fast acceleration and decent top speed. But there's an important factor to consider, and that's the courses themselves. Super Mario Kart has some of the tightest tracks with sharp turns and other hazards such as mud, sand, and snow. That's where Koopa Troopa and Toad come in. While both offer the lowest top speed in the game, they excel in both acceleration and handling, while maintaining the highest speed on the majority of other terrains. This makes them especially effective when navigating the tight tracks, and in a game where you're bound to find yourself off-road or being hit by random shells, the high acceleration more than makes up for it over other characters. So the question becomes, Koopa Troopa or Toad? Well, you honestly can't go wrong with E. Koopa Troopa is better. Anyway, moving on, we now arrive at Mario Kart 64. Which also featured the same number of playable characters as Super Mario Kart, replacing Koopa Troopa with Wario and Donkey Kong Jr. with, Donkey Kong. It was the first game to separate characters into 3 weight classes, those being light, medium, and heavy. Each weight class came with its own unique set of perks and drawbacks. For example, heavyweight drivers benefit from having the fastest top speed, losing the least speed when cornering, and have a tighter turning radius. In return, they suffer from slower acceleration and lose the most speed while off-road. Middleweights are described by the instruction booklet as having no extreme pros or cons, but let's just be honest here, they're mid, having the same top speed as heavyweights, and while their initial acceleration is faster than heavyweights, they actually take longer to reach their top speed, as their acceleration tapers off when approaching it, meaning that heavyweights actually reach their top speeds faster. The best characters in Mario Kart 64, though, are once again the lightest, as they not only have the fastest acceleration, but also the highest top speed in the whole game. They also receive the most speed from mini-turbos and lose the least amount of speed when off-road. Another more nuanced technique is the ability to triple tap the A button after spinning out or losing speed, which results in a faster recovery than if you were to simply hold the A button. Lightweights, as well as Bowser, get the greatest benefit from this technique, meaning that lightweights not only have the strongest acceleration, recovery, and top speed, but they also benefit the most from mini-turbos and they lose the least speed off-road.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
But hold on, there are 3 light characters, so which of these is the best? And this time you honestly can't go wrong with any of them. But of the 3, Toad is the lightest, meaning that he's more likely to suffer from bumps from heavier characters, and in my opinion drops him down a slot. Between Peach and Yoshi, I guess it comes down to what you prefer. They both excel and are stellar picks for this game. Now, if there was one game out of the whole franchise that I had no idea about coming into this video, it'd be Super Circuit. The game itself was always the odd one out in my opinion, and even to this day I still don't fully understand the more nuanced techniques. The game features the exact same cast and weight classes as Mario Kart 64. There are a few changes to mention though, such as lightweights having a lower top speed than in 64, and heavyweights having a higher top speed. It should be noted that for international releases, the game refers to acceleration as speed, which is honestly just weird. What else would you expect from this game? Even the gameplay is weird, as the drifting is extremely slippery, and I found myself spinning out quite a lot, but maybe I just suck. Lightweights as usual offer high acceleration and handling, but now offer lower top speed and also skid much easier. Middleweights don't really change and remain the super mid bros. The heavyweights now benefit from having the highest top speed and skid a lot less, but they do suffer from lower acceleration. Now here's the interesting thing, I'm usually biased towards lightweight characters, as they're much easier to handle and still offer decent speed. But in Super Circuit, I found their huge turn angles and increased skidding too much and tended to feel better on heavyweights like Donkey Kong, Bowser. They offer high speed and their low skidding makes it easier to execute mini turbos, which unlike other Mario Kart games, will only trigger if you straighten out your kart before releasing it. If anything, I think in Super Circuit, depending on the couple tracks, there are multiple viable bests. For a slippery track like Snowland, I would definitely recommend heavyweight like Bowser, whereas for tracks with wide turns like Peach Circuit, you could probably get away with a Yoshi, who offers decent speed and acceleration without too much skidding. If I could only choose one though, I would definitely say Bowser offers the most, with the fastest top speed, low skidding potential, and the biggest points bonus in Grand Prix. Now you can certainly tell that Nintendo was in their experimental stages with their games during this period, as the next game in the franchise, Mario Kart Double Dash, would also feature quite a few unique additions. The most obvious of which was the inclusion of the team mechanic, which meant that players could choose 2 characters among the extended 20 character cast. Unlike previous games, the weight of the character would not directly translate to the stats, but instead would allow for certain karts to be selected. For example, if you were to choose 2 light characters, you would have the choice of a light kart. Makes sense? The kart selected though would be based on the heaviest character, meaning that if you were to pick a light character and a heavy character, the kart selected would need to be a heavy one. Now in terms of stats, they remained similar, with lightweight karts offering high acceleration but low top speed and weight, medium weight being balanced across all, and heavyweight karts having low acceleration but high top speed and weight. In saying this, lightweights are once again the strongest by far in this iteration of Mario Kart. I remember playing as Bowser Jr. as a kid with the Bullet Blaster, which is by no means a bad choice, but from my knowledge now, I believe the best kart is the Barrel Train, which you unlock by winning the 150cc Star Cup. The Barrel Train is not only one of the fastest karts in the whole game, but it also performs well off-road, has slightly longer mini turbos, and isn't too light. Guess that's it, right? You just choose whatever characters and slap them in the Barrel Train and you're set for first place every time. Well, not quite. See, there was another feature added in Double Dash that was specific to the characters themselves. Each character had their very own special item that could be obtained from item boxes. These range from fireballs for the Mario Bros to massive bananas from the Kongs and golden mushrooms from the Toads. When used correctly, these items could prove to be game changers, so deciding on the combination of characters did hold some value. In my professional opinion, I would say a combination of Paratrooper with his access to triple shells and either one of the Baby Bros or Bowser Jr. would be my go-to combination. Triple shells are amazing for both offensive and defensive play, and the change hump for its breakneck speed boost. As for Bowser Jr. and the massive Bowser shell, I just find it really fun to use it.
Here we go!
My personal favorite, and merely because it holds so much nostalgia for me. Taking my DS on school camps and playing it late into the night with friends are still some of my most precious memories. If I was to ask myself from back then what the best character / kart combo was, it would be Dry Bones with the Dry Bomber, and honestly, I was definitely onto something back then, as were most people I'm sure. As per usual, the 12 available characters were split into their respective weight classes. However, this time each character had access to 3 unique karts, one of which had to be unlocked. These karts had 6 ratings out of 100: speed, acceleration, weight, handling, drift, and items. What made 10-year-old me love the Dry Bomber so much? Well, this kart in particular had 2 stats at 100, acceleration and handling. And while its top speed was abysmal, there was a technique that was popularized during the DS days. That technique would go on to become known as snaking. Now for those that aren't fully aware of what exactly this is, it was essentially a technique in which players would drift back and forth to perform continuous mini turbos, resulting in a significant speed boost. Snaking was most effective with lighter karts that had extreme acceleration, handling, low drift, and powerful mini turbos. Sound familiar? That's right, the Dry Bomber fit these standards to a T, along with other karts like the Egg 1 and Poltergust 4000. So I guess that's it. 10-year-old me was a Mario Kart prodigy, and even though he had no idea what he was doing, somehow knew the best kart. Well, in reality, there's probably an even better choice. That being Rob and his kart, the Rob BLS. Now, hold on Kai, you might say Robbie is heavy as, no offense, and his kart most likely has trash acceleration and handling. Well, on the contrary, it actually has the highest speed value of 100, while still maintaining decent acceleration and handling, making snaking very viable as well for this kart. In this case, the high top speed of the Rob BLS most likely eclipses the Dry Bomber, and overall is the better kart. But again, it may just come down to personal preference. Even if you were to use the DAG 1 or the Poltergust 4000, all are solid choices in my opinion. For me, it's always going to be Dry Bones and the Dry Bomber though. Mario Kart Wii has to be one of the most iconic and cherished games, not just in the Mario Kart franchise, but in all of gaming. How could you not love this game? And yes, I'm aware it has the lowest critic rating out of all Mario Kart games, but honestly, the aspects that resulted in the game's lowest score are some of the best things to come out of a racing game. But that's enough fangirling for now. That's not what we're here for. But when it comes to this game, there's honestly not much to discuss, as I'm sure everyone watching knows what the best combination is. Heck, I'm sure if you asked your parents or friends, even they'd know what the best combination is. Say it with me now. The best character in Mario Kart Wii is Baby Daisy. Yep, thought so. Alright, moving on to Mario Kart 7. Okay, I'm just joking, but come on, you should know that a god tier gamer like myself would know better. Mario Kart Wii is actually special in some regards though, as it was the first game to introduce bikes into the formula. Not only that, but it made them so OP that the game may as well be called Mario Bike Wii. One of the biggest benefits of bikes was the ability to do wheelies, which increased their speed and were extremely effective on long straight roads. Now you may ask, well, what about snaking with karts? Due to the over-reliance and the competitive advantage snaking offered in Mario Kart DS, Nintendo has since tried to remove the technique as a whole, and while not successful in truly killing it off, it certainly isn't as effective in subsequent games, nor is it anywhere near fast enough to compete with the bike's wheelies. Another distinction to be made is the difference between the drift type and hang-on type. While drift type bikes were similar in a sense to karts, hang-on types had the ability to inside drift, where they committed to the turn, allowing them to take much sharper turns regardless of their handling ability. Now after laying this all out, which character slash kart combination is the best? Well, all joking aside, it's obviously Funky Kong with the Flame Runner. Funky Kong himself offers incredible stats, being the fastest heavyweight character in the game. And when paired with the Flame Runner, an inside drifting bike that has stellar top speed, powerful drifts and mini turbos, it's a no-brainer. I mean, come on, if your online lobbies are looking like this, I think that it's safe to say that there's no better choice. Wait, oh, never mind, they came last. Point proven. Now this is where things start to get out of hand, as Mario Kart 7 not only has you pick the character and a kart, but lets you customize different parts of that kart, such as the wheels and glider, all of which play a part in the resulting outcome. The game also introduced another two weight classes, Feather, which is now the lightest class, and Cruiser, which can be slotted in between medium and heavy characters. Now when it comes to the best, honestly, I'm not sure if there is one. Mario Kart 7 actually does a pretty good job at balancing a lot of its karts and characters, but for the sake of this video, I'll offer two suggestions. The first I found to be effective employs a feather character, say Shy Guy, with a fast kart that has decent handling like the B Dasher. Chuck on a paraglider and mushroom wheels for better handling, and I'd say you got yourself a pretty well balanced all-rounder that offers high speed, acceleration, and handling. That isn't actually too bad off-road either. When it comes to Mario Kart 7, this kind of balance can be achieved by pretty much any character and kart combination, which is why I say there's no real best. For example, another popular character is Metal Mario. While he matches the rest of the heavy characters in terms of the highest top speed and weight, his hitbox is actually smaller among them, more so aligning with medium weight characters, meaning theoretically he's less likely to get hit by opponents' items. In a similar sense, you could pair him with the B Dasher, Red Wheels, and Peach's Parasol for maximum speed, and have just as much success as the combination I stated before. Really, it just comes down to what you prefer, and what you're comfortable with in this game. We've now arrived at the latest entry in the franchise, the massively popular Mario Kart 8, and because it's the most recent, it also makes it the hardest to figure out what the best combination is, and that's because, well, the game is still updating itself to this day, so my choice may just be absolute dog shit in the next month, but that's not my problem. Mario Kart 8 would add things like anti-gravity, and with that came new stats such as anti-gravity handling and speed. But to make everything easier to understand, just think of speed and handling but across all different terrains like ground, water, air, anti-gravity. But honestly, it doesn't even really matter, as the stats stay the same across each terrain, so I'm actually not sure why I'm mentioning it. Now, if you've played Mario Kart 8 within the last few months, you might have noticed a certain notorious figure atop a regular dominating online lobbies. Well, I'm happy to say that those days are most likely behind us, because as I said, the game, and especially now during the booster wave releases, changes month to month. Now, Nintendo likes balancing their characters and karts based on what was previously the strongest combination. In the latest update, for example, certain characters got both a speed increase and mini turbo buff, while karts, bikes, and ATVs that had a mini turbo stat that was less than the Wild Wiggler got a small buff as well. This now meant that frames such as the Cat Cruiser, Teddy Buggy, and Ink Striker outclassed the once popular Wild Wiggler, due to the Teddy Buggy in particular having identical speed to the Wild Wiggler but now benefiting more from its mini turbos. The Ink Striker is also a good choice in a similar sense, as it's faster than the Wild Wiggler but now has identical stats in terms of its mini turbos. In terms of tyres, not much has changed, as the roller tyres are simply the best in terms of handling and mini turbos across the board, while not sacrificing too much in its other aspects. So the final question is, which character do you combat with these frames? Honestly, in my opinion, I prefer the Ink Striker at the moment, and the only character options are Luigi and Iggy. Both offer great speed with decent mini turbos and handling. They suffer from poor acceleration, but I think the speed you get out of the pair with the Ink Striker and roller tyres is one of the strongest in the current meta. But what do I know? But at the end of the day, does any of this stuff really matter? Do you need to use these specific characters and combinations in each Mario Kart to win races? I mean, the short answer is no. You can use whatever the hell you want, and probably still dumpster my ass. Mario Kart has come a long way, and even though there may be technical bests when you delve deep into the stats, the chaotic and random nature of most of your typical races often mean that regardless of your choices, you'll be in a wild ride. It's partly because of this that Mario Kart has become such a worldwide phenomenon, and is such a joy to play. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hey, you never know, maybe I'll see you online. Just be ready to fight me for last place.